Nebraska Congressman Bacon spoke this afternoon after President Trump met with Zelenskyy.
First Alert 6's Andrew Pfeiffer joins us live in the newsroom with more on the congressman's input. Andrew?
Brian and Aaron, Congressman Bacon did not hold back when it came to criticizing President Trump and how he's handling negotiations with Russia. Now, Bacon said he supports efforts to bring peace, but says he doesn't believe the president has shown a clear understanding of the situation. He pointed to what he called Trump's, quote, velvet glove treatment of Vladimir Putin on Friday, saying it stood in sharp contrast to how Zelenskyy was received today. Bacon also stressed Ukraine is the victim in this war and shouldn't be pressured into conceding to Russia.
What really was needed was for him to come in and say, Ukraine's the victim. We're going to give all the weapons we can to Ukraine. We're going to do secondary sanctions on countries that are propping up Moscow or Russia's economy. Play hardball, and you got to change Putin's calculus here. And I don't think the president instead pulled back on helping out Ukraine and withdrawing that. And all that did was embolden Russia in its attack. So I think the fact that he hasn't faced reality who Putin is and what he wants, and two, that a strategy emboldened Putin over the last 7 or 8 months.
Bacon says despite his concerns, he hopes both nations will come to an agreement. He added the goal should be getting all three leaders to the table to reach a lasting resolution. In the newsroom, Andrew Pfeiffer, First Alert 6.
Breaking tonight, Omaha police say they are now